What's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode. It's not a match preview, not a reaction. It's an end of season award show. We'll put out a poll on Twitter, and we've been discussing it within ourselves as well. Who's got goal of the season, player of the season, and much more. But of course, we're going to be talking about the season in general before we do get started with the awards. Before we do get started with anything, I know it's been a little bit of a break, I think. I don't even know how long it's been. But after the season that we've had with the emotions being so high, I feel like it's only time we just brought it down a little bit. And here we are. We're back again. It's going to be good this summer because, of course, there's going to be a lot to talk about with winning the FA Cup. And we'll see what happens with Europe as well. New players. We need to improve the squad depth. So there'll be loads of content coming through. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And also appreciate all of your support throughout the season. We got a lot of new subscribers at different stages of the season. So thank you for joining the community and helping us grow as well. Joined by Lou and Patrick here. Gents, how we doing, man? I'll be honest. I haven't even spoke to you lot as much. We normally speak every other day. I don't know what you've been up to, Lou. How have you dealt with the season ending? And have you been relaxing? Have you been online, on Twitter, looking at all the rumours?
No, I've obviously just... It's time to collect some brownie points because Europe next season. So you get me, just doing what the missus tells me to do.
Hey, to be fair, you're on deck.
And watching Eze's goal and Henderson's save and the last 10 minutes, or just highlights in general, all day, every day, basically.
Yeah. To be fair, I haven't really watched it back as much in the past week or so. But when it did happen at the time, I was watching it a lot. I haven't really been online. I haven't been on my phone like that, Patrick. But what have you been up to? Knicks, they're doing well.
Nice. That's a good one. I'm not a Knicks fan like that. I told you that. I'm not even a big basketball fan like that. So nice try trying to throw that shade at me. That's good.
Did they lose to NFL?
NFL, you know. Yeah. Knicks. Knicks. NFL out there. Oh yeah, I'm real.
Celebrating my father-in-law and daughter's birthday last couple of days. Play some golf again, back into playing golf. Lost the semi-final on Sunday in my men's league, which is very upsetting, but life is what it is. And I've been watching, unlike you guys, I've watched the highlights of the cup final every single day. I've watched either the highlights or the entire match back since the final, and I'll do that the rest of my life. I'm not even joking. Every time I'm watching the highlights or the 90 minutes, I don't care. I mean, listen. Best day of my life. I'm gonna enjoy it, relive it every day. So,
yeah.
What's everyone's favorite? Obviously, not the full 90. What's everyone's favorite clip and commentary? I always said my two favorite is the Eze goal on BBC radio commentary, and I like I know it's underrated, but the Albanian commentator when the final whistle goes and he starts crying.
Oh yeah, I've seen that once.
But obviously, that's not as much. But I do like the N one on. Is it the one with Clinton Morrison? And he kind of just like,
yeah, you can see him as well.
Speaks about, but he lets it breathe. He lets it breathe a bit. Like he doesn't go too over the top. So I'd say, was it Nick Godwin? Was that Nick Godwin?
It is BBC Radio London. Yeah,
but the goal for Eze on the the radio commentary is streaks ahead of the TV commentary.
So for me, real quick, the Sean Dyche commentary with Clinton, he calls it. He calls it, which is amazing. And then Agent Durham's recap at the end. Even I hate John Salaka in the background. The Agent Durham recap is very emotional. He does it's on the TalkSport one. It's on YouTube. That was really good. I love the recap of how first to win a cup, etc. So those are my two favorite moments. Like I said, I mean the Sean Dyche thing. I mean, listen, I don't rate him as a manager, but that was brilliant. The commentary, the call is hold up play and the link up play, and then the goal came right after. That's brilliant. So that was my favorite part.
What's yours, D?
Yeah, BBC's one.
Yeah, the radio one.
Yeah. Why are you laughing? No, honestly, it was. They got the visual footage as well. You can see. How much you meant. Like when you see Clinton like that as well, you could tell. Like as I said, when we won the FA Cup, it's not just for this generation; it's for the other players that came along the way as well. Everyone played a part to reach this stage here. I think Gay said that as well. So yeah, BBC Radio London was my favorite. But yeah, look, here we are. We've got the FA Cup. It's in South London now, and it'll be there forever. We'll see what happens with Europe. That's a whole different discussion. We don't know what will be going on at the time.
Real quick, I went online yesterday. Every single tour is sold out. Palace tour.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Man, I wonder why. I wonder why it's so nice.
They want to see the Zenith Data System trophy.
The FA Cup, exactly.
Hey, trust me, that trophy's been there for a minute.
I just want to give it one pose like that.
Hey, I saw in the thread that you posted, Lou. Of course, we're gonna go through the awards right now.
Yeah.
You put in the last one outrageous prediction, and trust me, there was some outrageous predictions of maybe adding more trophies next season for the upcoming season. So we'll go through some of them. Just quickly, out of 10, what was summing up the season? Is it clearly a 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10 for the FA Cup? I mean, how would you describe the season as from the start to beginning, Patrick, for you?
Obviously, didn't get off to a great start, but I honestly was never really worried as long as Glasner was in charge. It took a while for the new signings to bed in. Once the season got going and we started getting into our groove, I knew we'd probably finish around mid-table. And I made that. We were in a chat for months talking back and forth. What's the best way to get to Europe? And I kept saying, the cup. Yeah. I said, listen, there's too many teams ahead of us. Forget, you're not going to pass Fulham and Bournemouth and Brighton and Brentford. I said, the cup's our best way. But I didn't, honestly, I didn't really believe it. I hoped it was hopium. I never believed it. But as far as the rating for the season, I mean, come on, it's a 10 plus. I mean, to win the FA Cup, everybody knows me. I wanted that. That was my dream. It was actually the League Cup, which I thought might be easier. But to win the FA Cup and to be there with you guys and my son, I mean, it's the best season of my life. And it doesn't come close. There's not a season, and I've been around a long time, that would ever come close to this season. If we win it again, it wouldn't come close. Because that first time, the first time anything is the best. So for me, it's obviously a 10 plus.
We want to praise you. Go on, you.
Yeah, I definitely think the whole Palace life roller coaster, being a fan of it was like squashed into one season where we had so much hope going into it. And then the first 10 games, it was all doom and gloom. And then it was just that steady rise, and then obviously hitting the peak of winning the FA Cup. So, yeah, I think it's probably won't ever be a better season than this, unless we win a European trophy.
Yeah, just a quick word on the parade, because we haven't, as I said, we haven't done any content. When's the last time we done content? I was in here. Yeah, I was in here for the match reaction. It was you lot with the match reaction, and then of course Hambo. 3 hours done at the end of season show, but talking about actual content. Yeah, probably Liverpool. That parade. If we do ever win a trophy again, just please pay up or whatever is required. Or what I heard so many different rumors about it, but it was a bit of a shame.
I was glad it happened, but I wasn't really too. Like I think, like thoughts after like the few weeks. I don't think there will ever be an adrenaline rush or a euphoric feeling than being inside Wembley when Eze scored, Henderson saved it, and the final whistle went. Like those 3 things. Like as much as I was like enjoying the parade and like I was there when it happened. Like that's all that really matters to me. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, that's what I felt like as well. I was at the parade, of course, with you. I bumped into you, and then it was like we're here, but.
Like nice. People were excited to be on the pitch. Like I was just a bit like, but I saw it. Do you know what I mean? I was there. I lived in that moment, and I was happy that it looked a bit rubbish on TV. Like they had so much space on the pitch. They should have just let everyone on the pitch. Like it was just a bit weird.
If it does ever happen again, I guess we can learn from the parade. Maybe that's the only one negative there was, because it was just like everyone trying to get inside. Why was there a VIP entrance in Homesdale? Like, what was going on?
Yeah, I was one of the people who jumped down from the Homesdale into the Arthur just to get on the pitch.
Yeah, I saw a few people doing that as well. And the mad thing is, despite people going down there was still so much space. So I don't know what they thought in their heads in terms of capacity for the pitch. But anyways, here we are. We won the FA Cup. We're looking forward now. I think Patrick can agree with me. I know at the time it's like no European talks, enjoy the moment. The moment is here. We can enjoy it forever, but we'll see what happens with Europe, etc. But yeah, it's been a fantastic season. Everyone gives it a 10 out of 10. I'll be surprised if people don't. We won a trophy and we've hopefully got European football as well. Let's start off with the awards. So the awards that we're going to be giving ourselves, and also we asked yourselves on Twitter as well. Make sure to follow the Back of the Nest. for more content. So goal of the season, we've got player of the season coming up, moment of the season, young player of the season, signing of the season, best away performance, best home performance, and best individual performances. So 8 awards that we're going to go through. We're going to start off with goal of the season. So I think, because as I said, I was away. Was it Patrick? Was you involved in deciding this, or was it all just Lou?
I think we kind of came to a consensus on it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we did in the group.
Okay.
Should we do what we think and then the subscribers, or should we do it the other way?
So I'll list out the 4 in a poll,
Yeah.
and then we'll say what we think, and we'll go back to the poll. So the 4 contenders for goal of the season was Mateta versus Arsenal, away from home. We got Eze versus Aston Villa in the FA Cup semi-final. Eze versus Man City FA Cup final, and Eze versus Fulham FA Cup quarter-final. So Eze's on there 3 times, all about the FA Cup, and Mateta's there for the Premier League game against Arsenal right before the semi-finals. Before we go to the poll, we'll start off with Lou, Pat, then myself. Lou, who do you go for?
I'm gonna go for Eze in the FA Cup final. Just because when I think about a goal, I don't just look at the goal itself, the magnitude of it, and I think the switch in tactics from Glasner, the drawing in of City, it was the ball to Mateta, the layoff, the third man run. It was just a goal that embodied Palace, and every single commentary described that's exactly what Palace were going to do. It's probably one of the best team goals of the season. It's every single player arriving at the right time. And I think it was like poetry in motion. And to me, that has to be the goal of the season for me personally.
Patrick, when you're looking at the goal of the season, are you thinking about it like Lewis in terms of looking at the moment as well as a goal? Or are you just making a decision based on the goal itself and you remove everything else?
Nah, everyone knows Louis and I are on the same page. I look at the tactical aspect of it and the importance of it. Just to be aware, though, remember the goal of the season by the fans or the Palace was actually Mateta's against Arsenal, which I think was a brilliant goal. Don't get me wrong.
Which we're going to come to. We'll see what.
Right, but there's absolutely no way I can't vote for Eze's goal in the cup final. He won us the cup, and as Louis, I'm not going to go over it again, but Louis just broke down how we worked the goal. It was a typical Glasner, Palace on the Glasner goal. The importance of it was brilliant. It's actually a well-taken goal. It's funny enough, in the commentary, I don't know who it is, one of the ESPN, whatever, the guy said took a deflection, which really upsets me because it just takes me from how great of a finish it was by Eze to beat the goalkeeper in that way, because if he puts it anywhere else, the goalie probably saves that. But everything about the goal was perfect. And again, the enormity of the goal. At the time, by the way, I didn't even know who scored it. I know we were there, but I couldn't even tell. I thought it was Sarr that scored. I couldn't even tell it was him because on the other side, it was down the far end for us. But for me, no doubt, it has to be Eze's cup final goal of the season.
Yeah, same for me as well. For all of the reasons that you love said, is a cup final goal of our first trophy, and it was that moment that got Eze. So for that reason, I have to give goal of the season for that. But the listeners, the viewers, however you consume the content, they've disagreed. They've gone with 46% for Mateta versus Arsenal. So what the club also is similar to that. So I guess the thinking behind people voting is basically on the goal itself rather than the goal and the moment, which makes sense as well.
It's quite a landslide as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, 46%. Eze's versus Man City was 24%. The FA Cup final one. Eze versus Aston Villa, FA Cup semi-final one, 15%, as well as Eze versus Fulham, FA Cup quarterfinals, 15 as well. So yeah, it was clearly people 46% preferred the Mateta goal. But fair enough. We're all here for different opinions. If you voted Eze versus Fulham, out of curiosity, let us know why, because I feel like the other goals were standing out a bit more. Let's move on to player of the season. So the contenders that we had in our poll was Mateta, Eze, Munoz, and Dean Henderson. Start off with you, Lou. You're going to go for?
You know I'm going to go for.
I don't know who you're going to go for.
Daniel Munoz.
Oh wow!
And there's a reason why, because like I said, I asked for more. Everything Daniel Munoz was doing in the season was good, but I asked for a little bit more. And when he provided that little bit more, it changed our whole team, I think, personally. When he started providing goals and assists and better quality in the final third, along with being the most consistent player across the season, he gets player of the season for me. I would say, again, people can look at it different ways. I think if we're talking most important player, it's Ebbs, because he's scored the winning goal in the third round and the final, and he scored the first goal in the quarterfinal, the assist. He started off in the semi-final, won the penalty. He's probably the most important player, because our season was all about moments, and he was the player with the most important moments in the season. But if we're going to go over consistency, a wing back who's got 6 goals, was it 6 goals, 7 assists?
Yeah,
and just for the fact that I asked for more and he provided it, I'll give my player of the season to Daniel Munoz.
Yeah, we're going to touch on other players, but Patrick, just quickly, who was your player of the season?
Mine was Munoz too. He got off to an interesting start because beginning of the season, although he played, I think he and Henderson played played the most matches this season. Lou mentioned the goals and the assists and the output, but he got this an interesting start. I think the goal against Newcastle kind of changed his whole season. It changed. I'm going to get to that later on in the show, but I thought that moment was so important. He had missed some chance in that game. Finally gets that goal. The sort of reaction of the players, the fans in the Homestead, the fans in the stadium, and obviously by Glasner. Got the assist for the FA Cup winning goal, obviously. Part of 16 clean sheets. Just had a magnificent season. The assist that he had to people like Eze and Mateta, basically getting them tap-ins during the season, and Sarr, the Villa assist. What that ball, the rotation on that cross that he made. He had a brilliant season, and I was a massive fan. I've got friends I played university ball with who are Colombian, and they told me how good he was, and I said, yeah, okay. But honestly, to see him play in person this season, the guy he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. His work rate is ridiculous. I wrote down here his energy, his work rate, his pressing, and his assists and goals were fantastic this season. So for me, even though I got another player who I think is worthy of praise also, we might get to in a bit. Another candidate, I think Munoz for me is player of the season for me.
Yeah, for me, it has to be Danny Munoz. The GA, I think throughout the season, for the large parts of the season, has been very consistent. And yeah, like he's helped us score a lot of goals. He scored goals for himself, assists. Maybe he could have even had more GA this season. I think so. By his standards, there were some clear opportunities, especially at the start of the season, which he missed, which is like, come on, you have to be scoring those. Yes, he did have that kind of season. However, as the season went on, as Lou's mentioning, he was more clinical in front of goal. He was more clinical in the final third. So I don't think we've even hit the ceiling with him just yet. I feel like, as I said, he missed a few opportunities this season. So next season, you could be even aiming higher than that, which is incredible. Exactly what you want from a wing back. And yeah, go on.
I was going to say, I think a big thing was him and Sarr clicked.
Yeah, it took a while.
Because it was like when him and Elise clicked, he was unbelievable. But then remember, Sarr wasn't really starting. Sarr was in and out of the squad, and then they finally got that connection, and then that's kind of when it went.
Yeah. In terms of other players that stand out on the list, of course, Daniel Munoz, based on a poll, 72%. So clear winner by everyone that voted in our poll. And then second place was Dean Henderson, actually, with 15%. Eze with 9%, and Mateta with 4%. The one that surprises me a bit is on Ebbs, and this quickly land on him and his season as well, because when we mentioned goal of the season, he was the player with the most goals, and he's had an incredible season in terms of GA as well. But are you not surprised about him only getting 9% of the votes in our poll, and maybe being third place in player of the season? Or do you think he wasn't consistent enough from the start of the season to the end? Is that a problem?
I'm not surprised, because if you look back at comments made all over social media and YouTube about Ebbs' performances throughout the season, and we'll be real, a few people said we should drop Eze for Devaney at some points. That's the type of space that people were in, and I just don't think people liked his whole performances across the whole season. But to me, he was the most important player, but not the best player of the season.
Yeah, Patrick, do you think that's fair as well? Because when you look at the start of the season, I think we can all agree, Ebbs including himself, that he just wasn't good enough. Something wasn't clicking. But second half of the season, I mean, he was our most important player by far.
Yeah, I think he got off to a slow start, clearly, right? But that slow start included, the goal that was called off against Brentford, but he had 2 assists in the game against Norwich, the League Cup game, and had that goal of the season candidate goal against Chelsea. They were all in the beginning of the season. Obviously, then he also had the goal assist against QPR. I was there for that. The great assist for Mateta's our first win against Spurs. They got the goal against Villa and they got injured, so he was out for a month. All right, but then obviously the turning point for me was obviously the goal he scores for England against Latvia in March. Then all of a sudden after that he goes off and just has a ridiculous end of the season. Louis right, people really downplayed how important he was. Again, he's an FA Cup hero again. Scored in that first round, scored in the quarterfinal, the semi-final, and the final. Had a great end of the season. He had 9 goals and 3 assists the last 12 matches. He was tremendous, and I think people didn't understand the importance that Olise played in his how he played, but also once Sarr got his role down by Glasner, it just clicked, and that's when Ebbs took off. And that happened, towards the end of the season. He's had great end of seasons, by the way, the last 2 seasons. But for me, he's close. But funny enough, the person I think should have got a more shine and didn't mention was actually Ismail Sarr. Sarr, I think, honestly, is an underrated player of the season for me because, again, what was the biggest question beginning of the season? How did we replace Michael Olise?
How many goals and assists
one
did Olise get last season?
It was 10 and 6, but it was in 19 matches. Right, exactly. Half a season, basically.
Let me calm.
We threw it on at Bayern Munich as well. So really surprising, isn't it?
Yeah, but we didn't even mention Ebbs' goal away at Chelsea, his assist for Chelsea at home, his winner.
I just did mention that as like people forget about what he didn't begin the season. But
had 19, by the way.
Really quick on Olise, 10 goals, 6 assists last year, 19 for Bayern Munich in 50 matches, 17 goals, 18 assists. So again, what we have done this year.
We're talking about one of the top 3-5 players in the world.
Exactly. And so getting back to my original point, look how Sarr came in and how well he did. And again, I'm not going to say he replaced Olise, but let's be honest, the talk of missing Olise ended, I'm going to say January of this year. Once the FA Cup run started, no one was saying, oh my God, we missed Olise, we missed Olise. Go ahead, Lou.
The Brighton brace, I think, was the one.
And I'm going to get to that exactly. Sarr, 12 goals, 7 assists, 2 goals versus Villa in the semi-final, a goal against Fulham in the quarterfinals. First goal was against Norwich. People forget that he actually was given a goal against Norwich. Remember that shot by Eze that was he ended up getting this. He deflected off of him, so he actually scored a goal early. But he really didn't come into the fray as Lou said. The 2 goals for me and the assist against Brighton were the turning point. Then he gets a goal against Arsenal. The assist versus Leicester. 2 goals against Villa that we were at. The goal against Ipswich when Mateta was out. So big of a goal. We needed someone to come up big late in that game. The goal against Fulham I mentioned that. So for me, he came on leaps and bounds. The semi-final game against Villa. I mean, what performance in that game. So for me, no one mentions him, but to me, Sarr should get more of a player of the season count because of the fact not only did he produce, but he placed a player that we all know is a brilliant player in Olise. So
is he would you say that he's being kind of underrated this season? I
feel
people are rating him, but maybe underrated in terms of significance to other players because I feel like he's rated within Palace, but no one really has mentioned him.
I think he kind of likes his position. I think he doesn't want to be in the limelight that much. Like he's like, even when he had twins, he's like a devoted Muslim. I just think he's happy with doing his job and being respected in the change room and by his manager. And Palace got a good song for him. They sing his name. And I remember at the start, they kept pushing him towards the crowd to celebrate more. And I think towards the end of the season, he really embraced the fans and like the connection was there. And hopefully he's going to be really important in Europe and stuff like that next season. And maybe if we get another profile to rotate with him and stuff like that, we can, because I think teams will give us more respect next season. in terms of how we play. So we're going to need different ways to beat teams. But yeah, I definitely agree with Pat about Sarr.
Ben Foster said it, I think, at the start of last season. If you treat him right, because he played with him at Watford, then he'll be a fantastic player. He just needs to be in the right environment. And I feel like he's right now, he's loved at Palace, and the players, the manager, everyone around him is thriving him. And that's why, he's had a successful season. Let's move on to the next award, which was the moment of the season. And the contenders for that were the following: Henderson's penalty save, of course, in the FA Cup final, Eze's Cup final goal, Sarr 2-0 versus Villa in the FA Cup semis, and Sarr's third goal versus Brighton away from home. Lou, as always, we'll start off with you. But moment of the season, surely, has to be one of the cup moments. I can't lie.
This is really hard for me because when Eze scored, it made me more nervous because I was like, this could happen. But then when Henderson saved it, I felt like this is really going to happen. So
the poll is very tight, by the way.
I'm going to go with...
It's not going to end right now, but at the time of recording, there's 1% difference.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Henderson save. And I'm going to go with it because the amount of content we've done and the amount of times Pat spoke about Henderson having to come up big, and we was going to need him to produce something to win this FA Cup. And that was it. And that was the moment I truly believed that even when he saves it and then everyone cheers, but then they stop because Haaland's coming, and then there's that euphoria that it was celebrated nearly as much as the goal. Mm-hmm. So I gave Eze the best goal, my goal of the season. So I'm going to give Henderson my moment of the season.
Yeah. The reason why I can't give it to the goal, I didn't even realize at the time as they scored the goal. I was so caught up in, we scored a goal so early in the match. I was like, so, and again, like I said, I tried to be fair. People want to say I was negative with I just brought out the facts that a lot of games he had 1 and 2 saves, and I shut up. And I made it very clear that if he has a big end to the season, we win the cup, and it happened. So I had to give it the Henderson save, and Lou's right. It's the save, it's the crowd reaction, and it's a second save, and the crowd actually being even louder and because it's right in front of us. I caught it all on videotape. I had my phone out. It was brilliant. And again, I have to give him credit because we don't win that cup final without him. He made, and then the Doku save later, the Haaland save early before that. He should have got red carded and that, and there's that part of that too. But no, that save to me is the moment when I was like, we could win this. I obviously didn't believe till 100 minutes was over, but at that point I said, yeah, we could win this cup, and we did.
Yeah, same. For the reasons that you lot have listed, as well as we've seen it in the past against City. It's not like we always start badly against City. Sometimes we're 2-0 up, we're comfortable, and then there's always like a moment. We saw it with the most recent league game, giving away that free kick. Kevin De Bruyne scores a free kick, and then boom, here comes City. So I was like, here it is. Here's the moment. Like, we're 1-0 up against City. We're leading once again, and they're going to score this penalty, and it's going to change. And for that reason, that penalty save just gave everyone a belief, but it seemed like it was like a shift. Like, finally, something didn't go for City where they're going to get this one moment and then get that confidence and go for them. And for that reason, that penalty save by Henderson was an incredible moment. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to lie and say I had faith that he's going to save it. I just thought that was it. Like, City always do this. So for that reason, the fact that he was the guy to stop that moment from happening. Do
you think if it was the goal was at our end and the save was at the other end, you'd switch it round?
What do you mean? Oh, no. I still wouldn't because for the reason I listed, because I feel like Man City always have this.
Because do you remember when that Munoz goal went in?
I know. But that Munoz goal was different. If you had the context to the Munoz goal, the reason why I get it like that is because we're like, look at the time. Up now. But I think the Henderson penalty save was massive. It really was. But based on the poll right now, this could of course change because it's not going to end right now. But here we are. Henderson's penalty save, 46%. Eze's Cup final goal, 47%. So by 1%, Eze's Cup final goal is currently leading, and we'll say that it's 1. And then third place was Sarr's 2-0 up against Villa in the FA Cup semi-finals, and Sarr's third goal against Brighton, only 2%, which was in last place. But yeah, that Henderson's penalty save will be remembered forever. forget about next season forever. Young player of the season. The contenders were Devaney, Wharton, Kapora, Franca. I don't think we have to waste a lot of time in this. We'll quickly go around and we'll quickly discuss it between Devaney and Wharton because I don't honestly. The other two, there's not much to discuss. But Lou, for you,
remember, I'll go back to that quote when I was doing an Aston Villa reaction, and I said, if Wharton stays fit and we avoid any big injuries, we win the FA Cup, and that's what happened. He was the most important player in our midfield. He just makes us tick. He's still only 21, so I think he's the same. I think he's same age as Devaney, isn't he? Around the same year.
He's a little bit younger, actually.
Yeah, I think he might be younger, but I don't want to take away how much Devaney contributed this season, and Wharton for clear ahead for me.
Pat, Wharton.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't realize that Wharton was in this category. For enough, I didn't realize we put him in the young player because I consider him a young player. But yeah, I mean, you can't really compare the two. But I will say, I got to echo what Lou said. We don't go on to do what we do without Wharton. What I loved about Wharton was obviously not just his ability, but his ability to play with any partner and let that partner shine. He started with Hughes, and everybody's talking about how great how Hughes was, and then Lerma would go in there and how great Lerma was, and then I was obviously with Kamada. And I'll tell you right now, and you know me, I'm a massive Decore fan, so I can't wait to see him and Wharton. But Kamada and Wharton really progressed the ball, break up play, set off our attacks. They were brilliant together. I never thought I'd ever say that. So that's credit to me, not only the manager, but to Wharton. So yeah, to me, it's got to be Wharton. But shout out to Devaney. Didn't start a lot of matches, but never let us down. I'll never forget last year, the Bournemouth game when Ozo came on and made a mistake. Not his fault, but cost us that game. Then not one time did Devaney come into a game late and make a mistake, ever. And if you saw as the season went on, especially even I think Wolves and Tottenham, how well he was at the end of the game, making great passes, getting forward and creating chances. The kid's got a future. I know that Lou and I had that discussion earlier in the season about where he fits in. There's absolutely no way Devaney is not part of the squad next year. And a big part with the Europa League and the League Cup, FA Cup. The kid came on leaps and bounds. But yeah, you're comparing the two right now. Obviously, Wharton's ahead of him, so Wharton's definitely a young player.
Yeah. He's a great squad player, Devaney. Of course, Wharton wins it for me. And by the way, I feel like with Wharton, there's still another level that he's going to reach. Remember this season, he had the injury and he was out for like longer than expected with the surgery, etc. So it was like a stop-start kind of season. But as the season went on, he kind of got into his groove a bit more. So I think next season we'll see more from him. But Devaney, I just want to quickly say, as Patrick mentioned, shout out to him because I do feel like he'll be an important squad player next year. He might not be a starter, but we've seen it. Like there are times where he comes on in the game and his boost of energy definitely helps us out. And he's a professional. Like he doesn't switch off, and it barely any mistakes as well. That's led to any opposition goals. So I think he's a smart player that scored goals. You know, he scored in against Aston Villa League Cup. I think was that it?
Yeah, it was a league game. To be fair, that's an underrated moment of the season. A Henderson penalty save straight up the other end, and then he goes.
Yeah.
And then Doncaster.
Like Devaney's, you know, he's contributed as well. It's not like he's coming on for like a few minutes and doing nothing. Like, he's contributed this season. So shout out to him.
The midfield depth is quite crazy because if we're talking about Kamada as a 6, it's now Wharton, Kamada, Decore, Hughes, Lerma. I don't think you need any more centre midfielders.
I don't think so.
You didn't mention Ozo, by the way. Didn't even mention
Ozo. Yeah, there you go.
Potentially, yeah. So, yeah, you're right. It's very good. Very, very good.
The thing with Decore, like people, even me, sometimes I forget about. I do forget about him, but he's been that good. But he's this season just been trouble. So like we haven't really had to discuss the midfield problems because the midfield has been good, and he's just had trouble with injuries. So yeah, best signing of the season. So of course we made a few signings over in the summer, and it's pretty much the summer signings in the last 4 lists: Lacroix, Sarr, Nketiah, and Kamada. I'll be real, some people are a bit harsh. We'll start off with you, Lou. Then we'll go to the poll. By the way, once again, disclaimer, right now, there's 1% difference between two individuals. Again, 1%. 49 and 50%.
It's so hard because it's like it's a team that got 16 clean sheets. Lacroix changed. He's such a big personality. He's a bit opposite of what Sarr was. He was like I don't know. It's tough for me. This is really tough, but I'm going to have to go with Ismail Sarr just because filling Elise's gap, filling the hole that Elise left is 10 times harder than filling the gap that Anderson left. It's probably about 1 or 2% in it for me, but the fact that Sarr got 11 goals, 7 assists, gave us the moments in the FA Cup semi-final were just that. Obviously, the final will live on forever, but the semi-final, when we grow up and look back at it, that game was just as iconic. Like we took Villa apart. So I'm gonna go with Sarr for my signing of the season, especially at 11.8 million pounds.
Yeah, Patrick, Nketiah's also on the list.
Fine, good for him. I'm glad he's on the list.
Okay,
I wanna actually shout out Daichi Kamada. I know he won't get the vote and he was not, but honestly, he was a Glasner signing. When he came in his interview, you'll see it. He said he wanted to win a cup for Crystal Palace, which he did. And towards the end of the season, honestly, like Henderson, we don't win the cup without Daichi's performances in the cup. He was brilliant in the semi-final and in the final. But obviously, it's between Lacroix and Sarr. Like Lou, Lacroix to me deserves a lot of credit because he replaced Anderson. He brought something different. What I liked about our back three was Gahey, Richards, and Lacroix had different attributes, and we needed all three of them. You know, Richards' defensive play, Lacroix's ability to recovery speed was brilliant in the back, and obviously Gahey just bring the ball forward. But for me, it's Sarr because I mentioned before the 12 goals, 7 assists. Having to replace Michael Olise was an impossible task. Everyone said it. You can't replace Olise. By the end of the season, I don't remember one Palace fan saying, "Oh God, we missed Michael Olise," which is a mad statement to make. That's how good he was. And the goals that he scored, again, we mentioned Brighton, Fulham, we mentioned the Villa semi-final performance. He was brilliant all season. Underrated, very understated player, doesn't look for the limelight. The goal again I mentioned against Ipswich when Mateta was out and how he did the kicking of the flag for Mateta, I thought was fantastic to do that. I think Sarr, honestly, I never thought he'd be this good. I remember Dean and I talking about where's he going to play? Is he going to be a forward? Is he going to be a right wing back? Where is he going to play? How's he going to fit in? He can play on the left side. He's the right side. I said, I don't know. But I tell you right now, Glasgow will figure it out. And he did. So to me, and again, credit to him because him and Munoz together, by the way, he made Munoz a better player. Don't underrate that. Sarr made Munoz a better player. So for me, it's slight because I love Lacroix, but I got to give it to Sarr as best signing of the season.
I'm going to give it to Lacroix. I think Sarr.
I respect it. I respect it.
There's no right or wrong answer, but what I'm thinking about is there's so many times this season. I don't know, like I can't remember the individual moments, but there's so many times this season where Lacroix actually saved us from conceding a goal. Like,
he did.
So many times this season.
Fulham away. We watched him Fulham away. Remember when he ran down?
So many games. I think.
Fulham away.
His performance against Watkins in the semi-final as well. He just didn't let him down. He did. Yeah. His whole life depended on stopping Watkins.
I think the back three and the system, of course, contribute to that. But there was so many. I think even in the semi-finals where he done. It was like I think it was against Villa. We done like a last-ditch tackle. He ran back.
And he did the crowd too.
Against Watkins,
as well. Against Watkins. Against Watkins. Exactly.
The 2-2 game.
Yeah, I think the back three's been fantastic, but Lacroix in particular, he's helped us himself. I've seen it stop us conceding from so many goals. I think you can say the same for Sarr. Like he's helped us score so many goals. He scored goals and got assists as well. But I just have to give it to Lacroix. In terms of the poll, though, 48% now to 50% as we're talking. The poll is live, so people are still voting. And Sarr actually wins by 50%. Lacroix 48%, Nketiah 1%, and Kamada 1%. So yeah, it was just a battle of Lacroix versus Sarr as expected for the best sign of the season, and Sarr wins it. Sarr wins that award. Best away performance of the season. There's a few games here: 3-1 versus Brighton, 3-0 versus Fulham, FA Cup tie, of course, 2-0 the league tie, and 2-0 versus Manchester United. Lou, you can start off. Was that the Brighton game and the FA Cup game and the league game?
Yeah,
we went to league game as well. Yeah.
I'm for personal reasons, I'm going to go for the FA Cup game against Fulham. That game was, again, it was a bit like, I think we were underdogs a little slyly, even though we'd beat them 2-0 a few weeks before, and like we kind of came into that game thinking, oh, they might work us out and stuff like that. And it was the first time where I thought we could win the FA Cup. I've seen us win at Brighton, so I don't know. I loved that Brighton game. It was a great day out. It was a great performance, but winning 3-0 at Fulham in the FA Cup quarter-final, I felt it was like because we were the first quarter-final as well. The pressure was on. It was a massive game, and from that Lerma volley that hit the crossbar, we just dominated, and it was just it was one of the best away games of the season. That's just me personally. I prefer that game.
Yeah, Patrick, you was at a few.
Yeah, for me, also personal reason, I'm going to pick the 2-0 away Fulham performance. Was there with you guys, the league game, yeah. I was there with you guys, my first ever time going to Craven Cottage. What a day. Had a lot of fun with you guys, obviously. I was there for the next 2 matches, obviously, the Villa and the Millwall game. It started our 8-game unbeaten run, obviously. We ended up playing Fulham later on in that cup game that Lou mentioned. I think winning that game helped us a lot. I remember you mentioned it so many times, D, during when you did the opposition preview, how that game kind of showed that Glasgow had Silver's number. And it definitely proved it in a quarterfinal. I just thought the performance was really great. The goal that we thought Lacroix scored from the corner, the performance by Lacroix in that game that Lou mentioned before, how good he was. The goal the ball from Mateta to Munoz, we were there. The chop back by Munoz on Bassi, and then the shot, the sound of the net rippling going right in front of it, the crowd reaction, the limbs, and it was brilliant. And I just thought that whole day was fantastic. So for me, because I was there again, if I hadn't been there, it would have been the quarterfinal. I thought that day was brilliant. So for me, it's the Fulham 2-0 away game.
I'm gonna go for the 3-0 Fulham Cup tie. For the reasons that I was at the Brighton game, I was at the Fulham game, and I was at the 2-0 win as well. Not the United game. United game was we done a watch along with Blue. But in terms of the celebration for the goals, maybe because it was the context, and I knew like, wow, we're going Wembley 1, and we're only like we could be potentially a few wins away from winning the trophy, which we ended up winning. I couldn't honestly. I felt like fainting after the first goal, and for that reason, for the celebrations, it was ridiculous.
I generally think the first 2 goals in that quarterfinal were probably more chaotic than the Wembley goals. At some point, I think
the last Sarr one wasn't as chaotic, but
where I was for that Eze one, because we were under pressure, and Eze just cut in, and it's quite the way when the goal was at the other end, it kind of hit the post and hit the net and come out, and no one I think anyone really clocked that it had gone in, and then once it bounced out and Eze ran off, it was just it was crazy. That was a great performance that day.
Yeah, the FA Cup one was unreal though, the celebrations. I had to stop myself from celebrating because I genuinely thought I was going to faint.
And that's when my watch was telling me, "Oh, you're gonna."
Then I saw it. Let's move on to best home performance. Actually, before we do the contenders, so we actually won in the poll was 3-1 versus Brighton. Funny enough, I guess that's based on the context of things. Beating Brighton 3-1 away from home. I understand that. But for my personal reasons, the 3-0 versus Fulham was 30%. 3-1 versus Brighton, 67%. 2-0 versus Fulham away from home, of course, 1%, and 2-0 versus Man United, 2%. So it was clear winner for Brighton.
I reckon if Eddie had scored the 4th one, I might have been swayed for the 4th. And if Gay if it had been 3-0, I might have been swayed a bit. But that was annoying. I
don't know if I would have. I can't remember celebrating.
When Eddie went through and he dinked him, if that had gone in, and obviously they'd beat us 4-1.
But like the FA Cup one was just like.
Yeah, I know. But Eddie dink at the end.
Yeah, I know. It would have been amazing. It would have been amazing. But like the FA Cup one, my celebrations. I don't remember celebrating like I did in those goals against Brighton. Fulham one was like, we're going Wembley. Like this is it. This could actually be happening. So,
I do think the Fulham one was more of a complete performance.
Yeah. Because remember, Brighton were pressuring us.
Just the substitutions, the way we like let them attack us for 15, 20 minutes, and
they just had possession.
The game.
We got them. No, we got them. We had their numbers. Best home performance, contenders 2-1 versus Brighton. See, once again, that's what I'm saying. Brighton, you always have joy against them. The FA Cup moment against Fulham, you don't always have those moments. 1-0 versus Spurs at home, 4-1 versus Aston Villa, and 3-1 versus Millwall in the FA Cup. Lou, start off. By the way, just for context, it's once again 2 games that's going kind of head to head, but one clear winner so far.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the 4-1 versus Villa. That's when I thought, wow, this team is not a joke. I loved all the goals. I loved Wharton's performance where he had like the 3 pre-assists and he just ran the show. Mateta's finish, Nketiah getting the goal, and like the whole, I think that was when everyone started kind of taking notice of us a bit more. And it kind of broke the home form hoodoo and stuff like that. So yeah, 4-1 at home to Villa for me. And Pat was there as well, and he got to experience it in the box.
Yeah, he was in 2 of the games.
Yeah,
I guess I was at 2 of those games. That one and the Millwall game, but those are not going to be mine because to me it's the Brighton 2-1, the Mateta goal,
which T was at.
And I'm going to say the madness of the red card, the red card madness. You know, the 2 for us, the 1 for them. Joe Ward coming on helping us see at that game, beating them with 9 men. The pressure at the end, the reaction at the end by the fans. That game was manic. So for me, again, anybody else who beat 2-1, no big deal. But to beat Brighton with 9 men is a madness. And again, for Joe Ward to come onto that game, and again, Joe Ward never having lost to Brighton in his whole career. I thought there were so many moments in that game that made it brilliant. And again, the Mateta goal was so well taken, the left-footed shot. So for me, that's the best performance at home for me was the Brighton game.
Same for me as well. 9 men. Chaos by the players. At some point, it was Joe Ward at the back. Who else was at the back? I think Ben Chilwell and Lerma. Yeah. And the fact that we managed to beat them that. Yeah, I think
Devaney was on, everyone.
Yeah, everyone that was available at that point because we only had like 9 men. But yeah, it was a crazy game. I think the 4-1 Aston Villa, I understand it because if you're looking at best home performance, it was a very like dominating performance. And
because I like that performance because I didn't think Villa played badly that game.
They didn't. They had their what? We were
really good.
Yeah, really good. I just think the Brighton one, also for different reasons, was an incredible home performance. The fact that we had all of those players and everyone still stayed in shape. Like we quickly adjusted and made sure that they didn't have that many opportunities, and they didn't. To be fair, they had like a few corners which I was worried about because we didn't have enough players to mark guys on the pitch. But yeah, apart from that, I think 2-1 at Brighton was my favorite, and Patrick's. But Lou went with 4-1, which according to the poll, 4-1 Brighton. 59%.
4-1 Villa.
I mean, 4-1 Villa. Next season, I'm talking about probably. 4-1 Aston Villa, 59%. 2-1 versus Brighton at home, 37%. And 2% each for 1-0 versus Spurs and 3-1 versus Millwall in the FA Cup. And lastly, the best individual performance of the season. We have Sarr versus Aston Villa in the FA Cup semi-final. Eze versus Fulham in the FA Cup quarter-final. And Sarr versus Brighton away from home in the league game, and Henderson versus City in the FA Cup final. I have to my winners clear on this one. Luke, you start off.
I'm gonna keep mine short. It's Henderson. I've spoken about it already. It's clear. It's iconic. It's obviously he spoke about his dad passing away and that. It's just I'm happy the fact that he's etched into FA Cup glory because everyone's talking about it was the Dean Henderson final. Like that's what people called it. So yeah, that's a clear winner for me.
You know what? Let me just quickly jump in. That's my clear win as well. I don't know if you have any other moments. To be fair, some of these performances are very good. Like it's not like I'm downplaying other performances. Sarr versus Aston Villa was incredible in the FA Cup semi-final. Was a significant moment.
And Sarvi with Brighton as well.
Yeah, exactly. But what we spoke about with Henderson, penalty save, talking about his dad, and not just a penalty saves throughout the game. Saves, best individual performance for me.
Yeah, I purposely did not fly over for the semi-final, and I watched it in my basement. I was so nervous, but I thought Sarr's goals and performances against Villa were brilliant. We don't win that game. I know Ebb's goal was absolutely fantastic, but I had a feeling at some point Villa might equalize, but Sarr's 2 goals were so good. But for me, again, got to give Henderson credit. We don't win a cup final without Henderson. He made, again, the saves that stand out for me, obviously the penalty double save, the early one against Haaland, and the Doku save, which, by the way, underrated save. What a brilliant save of Doku. And then I guess I didn't realize he didn't even go out or play. He had to be headed away or cleared away at the back post. And they could have scored the follow-up. No, that performance by Henderson, I said it again, I was critical of him, but only because I wanted him to come up bigger. And again, he was so good in that final. He was actually excellent in the semi-final too against Villa, but I'm trying to take that away from him. Brilliant that. But for me, the performance in the final, again, you mentioned about his dad. I mean, it was just fantastic. So no, for me, Henderson's final performance takes it for me for sure.
The poll agrees with us. 59% voted for Henderson versus Man City. 25% Sarr versus Aston Villa in the semi-final. 10% Sarr versus Brighton in the league game away from home. And Eze versus Fulham in the FA Cup quarterfinals, only 6%. So yeah, Henderson was a clear winner there. Before we wrap up the show, we're going to go through some outrageous predictions for the upcoming season.
How should we do it? So when you read it out, should we like say not agree, disagree, but like feasible, non-feasible? Like
there's quite a few, so I'm going to try to pick up the best ones possible. But if we go through all of them, we're going to be here for like another 2 hours. So we'll just we can stop if you feel like you need to stop and say something, we can stop through it and then talk about it. So we've got from Scotty Stats, win the Europa League and finish top 4 for the upcoming season.
Okay.
I felt like that is a bit outrageous.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm you could call me deluded. I just think that Europa League, I want us to go far in it. I truly do. I feel like
I think we could have a West Ham type campaign when they got to when Frankfurt beat them in the semis. I think that's
yeah. I don't know about
that.
We'll make the Champions League one way or another. I love it.
Okay.
Hey, there's one way to make it. And we saw it with Tottenham this season.
That's the progression, right? That's the
progression.
progression.
I'm pretty sure there'll be a prediction. Underscore EXDS saying with the World Cup coming up, the likes of Gahey, Eze, and Wharton realize their best chance of being favored to play in it is by staying at Palace. They can impress as they'll be starting 11 and play in Europe. Both things not guaranteed if they make a move to a bigger team. I don't know if that's outrageous. But
I think thinking Gahey will stay might be a bit outrageous, but it's not. It's not. Palace are going to come top 4 and win the Europa League, but
yeah, type of outrageous, exactly. Yeah.
But I do think that's a factor because if you're captaining a team in Europe and you're playing 50 games in a season to showcase how good you are, then
you have to make sure if you were to move away from us, you go to the right team because you don't want to be sitting on a bench and then all of a sudden you lose it. Alfie underscore CPFC7. saying we do the double over Everton, win at St. James's Park, the City ground, and we don't lose 4-0 at home to Sunderland this season. You know what? That is outrageous because
I like it though. That's probably one of my favourite ones.
Do the double over Everton, beating Newcastle at St. James's Park. Them in itself is outrageous. And then you continue to say the City ground and we don't lose 4-0.
Exactly.
A win at the G-Tech would be nice as well.
Yeah, we haven't won there, have we?
And Bremo's leaving. Could happen. No, Bremo.
Oh, yeah. They'll probably find another guy.
Please don't say that. Don't say that.
Carvalho.
Stuart says Palace get kicked out of Europe. Stuart Baldwin. Palace get kicked out of Europe. Glasner leaves. We sell Gay, Eze, Wharton, and JP, and avoid relegation by beating Brighton away on the last day of the season.
I remember reading that one. That's funny.
Yeah. That's crazy. Ketch Schlupp. Also, shout out to Jeffrey Schlupp, of course, who's left, saying fully expecting us to go back to back in the FA Cup. I mean, why not? We're in the FA Cup again. Alex, who does the watch longs, said the outrageous prediction: Chadi Riyad player of the season, top 4 candidate. Also,
he won't be back for a while.
Exactly. They must have a crazy.
He's have to score 15 goals from January.
From centre back.
Outrageous prediction.
We don't concede a single goal, and he scores 15 goals from centre back. That type of prediction.
Unless he scores the winner in the Europa League final, then I'll give him the player of the season.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Eggy the Eagle says we win the Community Shield and the Carabao Cup. I don't think Community Shield is outrageous, but if we win both, maybe that could be outrageous because we win or not. Is that outrageous if we win? Actually, let's not get there ourselves. That'd be crazy.
That trophy cabinet's going to be big, man. But we got no space in that cabinet. We win no tours.
They have to fit in more stadium tours.
Yeah, exactly. That stadium expansion needs to be happening.
More sold out tours, exactly. More sold out tours.
Yeah. Main stand. We're going to start losing seats. Phil says we do the double against Brighton again. That's not outrageous. But it's a nice prediction, in my opinion.
But it doesn't really matter anymore. We've done the double over them and won the FA Cup in the same season. Like they thought after the playoff semi-final that they would finally getting their moments back, and they just got, this is the worst season ever. They didn't get Europe because of our FA Cup win and lost twice to us. Yeah, they've got to beat us in an FA. I don't even know. They got to beat us in an FA Cup final or something to get.
It's not going to happen. Yeah, like they have to try to win something, but they can keep buying.
No, but they have to beat us because we won it first. So they have to beat us in a final.
Even that one, man. We did it first. That wouldn't even matter.
They need to do the double. If they have a season where they do a double and win like 2 trophies in one season, then they might have no chest. Magic CPFC said we get to the Europa League final against Roma. How is that outrageous? Yeah, I guess so. Europa League final. Coog says D forgets to say what's going on, people at the start of the stream. Yeah, that'd be outrageous. It's not programmed into me. Not that outrageous. Palace win Europa League by beating Villa in the final. See, this is what the crazy thing is. Some people are saying it's outrageous that we get to the final. Some people are saying Palace win the Europa League, but it's not outrageous. I feel like the confidence within the club has gone to another level. Won 1 trophy. Now we're talking about winning the European trophy next season. Hamada will prove everyone wrong.
I forgot about him.
Yeah, I literally forgot about him. So that'd be outrageous.
He's got Molenbeek written all over him.
Yeah, he does, isn't it? He does.
Croydon Athletic written all over him, man. Croydon FC.
We make at least a semi-final of every cup competition we are in.
Wow, outrageous.
Eagles.
That would be annoying. I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, that'd be annoying. Like, how on earth do we not get to exactly?
Yeah,
exactly.
That'd be annoying.
Lewis Kirby says, "Come this time next year, we're going to be a Champions League team." So that is outrageous to me because that means we won the Europa League or we've made a top.
Finished top.
Yeah, that's crazy.
5 or 6. Crazy.
And then the final one from Mikey T. He says, "We make signings before end of window. Fulham fans cry again and try to start a rivalry. My shin survived being." He just started talking about his friends. He says Tom's independent travel services gets him to a game on time. I don't know who that is.
That's a private joke.
Huh?
That's a inside joke.
Inside jokes. Yeah. But one, we get kicked out of Europe as Villa lodge a complaint saying we always beat them, and I think that's a perfect way to end it. But
wait. Do you have an outrageous prediction? Because I have one. What's your outrageous prediction before?
Do we have our own?
Yeah, we should have our own. Yeah.
Yeah, go on, Patrick. You start off.
Mine's Europa League semi-finalists. That's my outrageous prediction. We get to semi-finals of Europa League.
If we're doing outrageous, my one would be we win the Europa League.
To win it, okay, got you. Lou?
Yeah.
Walton scores 10 goals.
I haven't got 1 against 10. I love that.
Exactly.
0 to 100. I love it.
10 backflips.
Will we see a Walton backflip before he ends up leaving the club? That's an outrageous prediction.
That's a good one, D. I like that one. Outrageous.
Yeah, we'll see it before he ends up leaving the club. Let's see. But let us know your outrageous predictions in the comment section down below. That's it from us for the award show. As I've said, it's going to be a busy summer. We'll be doing content once again. So make sure to keep your eyes peeled for that and a notification bell. Turn them on. Like, subscribe. Thanks to each and every single one of you that's tuned in throughout the season. And until next time, up the Palace.